Happy December 31st, last day of 2020, everyone. It's Phil Gerbyshak. It's fantastic to see you, to be with you, and to interact with you. This has been one heck of a year. 2020 has been really interesting. So I'm not typically very good at looking back. I'm really good at looking forward. But this year, I thought it would be helpful for me and maybe for you to look back at what's happened. And I did this through my camera roll. So I take pictures of just about everything. Yes, I take a lot of selfies, a lot of pictures of me, a lot of pictures of random stuff, but I try to do that to actually memorialize what the heck I did this year. So as I look at my year, one thing that I am really proud of is I did about 100 different live videos, and that resulted in 52, and once this is done, 53 different different podcasts that I had every Thursday, and I was consistent in that, that I got them out. I missed a couple, but I did get one out each and every week. So I'm grateful to all my guests that decided to spend a little time with me. Some spent 25 minutes, some spent 45 minutes. Sometimes I had a double dipper of podcasts and stuff. And this year, I even got to interview my chaplain from when I was in the Navy, David Canada, which is super cool. That was probably the highlight of my podcast year. I released that audio last week, so it's episode 52 of season. I guess I'm calling it season 4, but I haven't been consistent in counting that. But to go live that many times and to produce podcasts, although I guess I don't really produce, I just download MP3 and I post it out there. I don't edit. I'm raw and uncensored and uncut. Pretty proud of that. So that's a pretty big deal. But some of the stuff, again, I looked through my camera roll here of what I did, and it was a pretty darn good year. I have to say, I'm not at all sad that 2020 is gone, but I'm never sad about that any year is gone. I'm always grateful that the year has passed and that I have learned a lot and that I'm going to move forward. But as I look at this, some themes come up. First of all, one of the big themes for me is family. I spent a lot of time with family this year, and that was really, really good. That hasn't always been the case in past years, but I got to spend a lot of time with family this year, and I'm super duper grateful for those times. I got to see just about every person in my family this year in 2020. So thank you, COVID, for that opportunity to see and spend time and invest in my family. Another thing that's a big theme for me for 2020 was certainly the ability to be flexible. I'm not going to say pivot because that means everybody has to do a shot, right? That's kind of the overused word of 2020 is pivot, but certainly being flexible to what may come has been a big theme for me. My job, I had a corporate job that went by the boards in July. We parted ways as friends, and I'm super grateful for that opportunity I had to go back and go off and do something new and even more exciting, which is really fun, which is that flexibility, though, to do that, and my brain being flexible enough to embrace that are big themes. And the third theme of 2020 for me was that done is better than perfect. I needed to ship more, and I did ship more. I got about 100 live videos out, unedited, unfiltered, unscripted, and then I did numerous podcasts with other folks that asked me to be on their show. So I'm grateful for everybody who's been on my show, and grateful to everybody who asked me to share with their audience, with their show. I think I shared some smart stuff. At least I hope I did. I know people were pretty happy with some of the stuff, a lot of responses to some of the things. And I like that not everybody agrees with every point that I made. But hey, such is life, right? So those are my themes for 2020 as I look back at 2020 and think about how grateful I am for the year, how grateful I am for this year. 2020 is not the year that any of us planned for, but it certainly is the year that I enjoyed, that I loved, that I deserved. And so I'm grateful to look back at 2020 with love. Now, as we look ahead to 2021, I look forward to even more amazing things. So as I do work with process and results as the Chief Revenue Officer, I expect we're going to do some epic content that's going to help folks, and I expect we're going to do some epic work that's going to help our clients. It is really cool to be able to partner with someone like Chris Johnson. He's a really smart guy. I'm really excited. We're very different in wonderful ways, and I'm really glad to work with Chris and to make that happen. So as we look at that, and as we look ahead to 2021, my buddy Chris Brogan came up with this idea to come up with 3 words for the year that help us center, to help us focus, to filter things through. 3 words, and just 3 words that can help us all, because if they're action words, right? If they're action words, they absolutely can help us, because they do help us filter, right? And I believe that with all my heart. I've done this exercise most of the last 10 years, maybe last 15 even, thanks to Chris Brogan. So I'm certainly grateful to Chris for coming up with this. I know, some people come up with 1 word. I like Chris's 3 words though, and that's helped me over the years. So what in the heck are my 3 words for 2021? My first one is process. Process. Now, process for me has 2 meanings. Process 1 is to pause, to think, and to actually mentally process what's happening. And I learned that a lot in 2020, because nothing is good or bad. It's really how we perceive it, how we process it. So that's one way that I'm looking at process. But the other way I'm looking at process is to create repeatable process so things scale and get better, and that I can outsource things that I'm not great at. And I think every business owner can outsource the things that they're not great at if they can either make a process or have someone make them a process, because it's very hard to delegate that which we don't understand, right? So, hey, go sell stuff, or hey, go do this. Well, if there's no process around that, it makes it really hard. So creating processes will be something I'll be doing a lot of that. If you go to processandresults.com, we'll actually, you'll see that we're very transparent with our processes. So we'll be sharing a lot of that, share a lot of process on video, but process is really important. That's why we called our company Process and Results. And that second word is the results. It's not a coincidence that my company is called Process and Results, and this is, where I work is Process and Results, and that these are 2 of my big words for the year: process and results. Results. Right? I'm focused on those results. Now, sometimes I may not get there the way that I expect. Sometimes the process may need to be enhanced, revised. I might need different ways of looking at that. So process and results, right? The results is actually the output of that. And if I stay locked into that and that end point, and I enjoy the journey as I get to those results, I'm going to be a lot happier. So process, results. And my third one is kind of 3 words. So you might think it's cheating, but I don't think it is. And that's station to station. I'm going to be where I am right now until I get to the next station, and then I'm going to be there. And I'm going to focus on a step at a time in the process. I'm going to focus on a step at a time towards the results, and focus on being station to station. I'm really excited by this ability this year for me to slow down. I've often only focused on the results. I've often only focused on the end. But this year, in 2021, this next year, I'm going to focus on station to station, getting results for that. So those are my 3 words: process, results, station to station. I think they're really important for me as they help my year. I encourage you to think about 3 words that can help you. And I want to encourage you that perhaps a process like this, of what I just did, which is I reviewed some 1,500 photos to come up with my major things for 2020 as I look back at 2020. And then as I looked ahead, I thought about, what do I want? What do I want to focus on? That was a process, right? So that's the 3 words. Again, big thanks to Chris Brogan for coming up with this process for us many years ago. So what's next for me? What's next for you? Well, for me, I am absolutely going to continue to do some sort of show, right? Something where I share other people. It's seldom going to be just me. I don't think that I'm the smartest guy in the room, and I don't want to be, because if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I need to find a new room. But I do believe that I can ask good questions. I do believe that I can be curious. To steal Michael Bungay-Stanier's words, I'm going to stay curiouser and curiouser until that's exhausted. And that's one of the reasons that I podcast, because it helps me stay smart. It's one of the reasons why I continue the show, right? These live shows, because it helps me be smarter. It helps me learn and helps me grow. So hopefully it helps you too. So that's one thing I'm committed to. Second, I'm committed to writing more down for you and for me. I actually got a Remarkable notebook. If you haven't seen these Remarkable notebooks, they're awesome. They actually feel like a pencil on paper. So as we look at that, right, it allows me to write, and it actually feels like paper, which is one of the reasons why I like the physical, because I like to feel it, and I like physical books. I was commenting on one of Chris Brogan's posts. He said this is the first physical book he bought of the year, like this year, because he has gone all virtual, all digital, and I think that's great, Chris. But for me, that doesn't work. I like the physical of the book. I like the physical writing the notes down. Now, I also love that translates to digital. I can click a button and it'll translate it to text, and it actually gets my scribbles. I actually have pretty good handwriting. I should say that. In first grade, I learned to handwrite. Thank you, Mrs. Hanson. Now, Mrs. Loomer. Mrs. Loomer, Linda Loomer, who helped me learn to be a better writer, who, funny enough, lives here near me in Florida now. Anyway, thankful to that for good handwriting. So, but it translates it to text so that I can do stuff with it. So I'm committed to writing more stuff down. So continuing this, start doing more of the writing down, and then stop procrastinating. I'm just going to get stuff done. To coin a Brian Tracy phrase, I'm going to eat that frog. I'm going to do the hard stuff first. That starts, actually right now, because frankly, just me on video is not my favorite thing in the world. But I know that I need to do some more of this because it helps. It helps me process. Hopefully it helps you too. So those are my commitments. Those are my thoughts for 2021. I hope that you have a safe new year, that your 2021 starts with a bang in a good way, not in a bad way, and that you realize that even though maybe 2020 wasn't perfect, that you realize it's exactly what you needed to make a great year. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of my life. I appreciate you. I'm Phil Gerbyshak. And until next year, make it a great day. See you soon. Thanks.